This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on cabinet decisions. The participants are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Nilap Srivastav, journalist.
The Union Cabinet was convened today and it gave approval to some important decisions under the chairmanship of Prime Minister. Most all of them. In fact, the Union Ministers, Mr. Prakash Javadekar, the Union Cabinet Minister for Information and Broadcasting, and Mr. Thawarchand Gehlot, the Social Justice and Empowerment Minister. They also briefed the press about these decisions. The most important decision, Mr. Iyer, is about the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, again a part of the Union Cabinet, has approved a total investment of over 59,000 crore rupees for the post-matric scholarship to students belonging to the scheduled caste category. And this is going to benefit, according to the government estimate or the statement, about 404 crore SC students. And this is going to be this approval is going to be for the next 5 years for higher studies beginning class 11. What are the contours of this decision, Mr. Iyer?
This is a very, very big development, I would say, because this is a major outreach to the scheduled caste community by the Modi government. And a centrally sponsored scheme for students belonging to scheduled caste has been there for a long time. But what has been happening is, so far the current formula, the funds were only providing funds above the committed liability, what they say, which in fact translate about the 11% of the total cost. So there was a lot of complaints saying that, many Dalit students were giving up studies after passing class 10. And secondly, many state governments were not continuing with the scheme because they were not able to find resources to provide this scholarship. This is a post-matric scholarship to students. This had led to many states ending the scheme. And this issue was discussed by the Prime Minister's office. And there was a meeting in which the Prime Minister himself was briefed about, how the lack of funds was affecting the scheme. So finally, he decided to give a complete go-ahead. So today we have seen the Cabinet has approved a total investment of 59,048 crores for the scheme, and of which the centre will spend 60%, that is 35,534 crores. And the remaining part, that is the 40%, will be borne by the state government. So this replaces the existing system and brings greater involvement of the central government in this scheme. And as you mentioned, it will benefit more than 4 crore students. And this is going to see particularly under this scheme, the scheduled caste students can pursue any post-matric course starting from class 11 onwards. And the government will meet the cost of education. So this is essentially with the new education policy and the idea that we should encourage the children belonging to the poorest of the poor. So the higher education trust will now happen among the community. And essentially what we heard today was both the Social Justice Minister Thawarchand Gehlot and the Secretary of the Social Justice Department. They were explaining that the whole focus is going to see that to enrolling the poorest of students. And those students under the scholarship, they get timely payments. And there is a comprehensive accountability and continuous monitoring and total transparency. So what is going to now happen is a campaign will be launched to enroll the students and those who are passing the 10th standard. The most important thing, the impact of the scheme will be understood if you realize that 1.36 crore poor students are not currently continuing their education beyond 10 standards. So this scheme will be a very big thing, and the fact that the states have been advised to undertake foolproof verification of the eligibility, caste status, and use Aadhaar identification and then bank account detail, so that the money will directly go in a direct benefit transfer mode, and they will get the benefit. And the scheme will start from 2021-22. Nilap.
Direct benefit transfer. This is one of the very important salient points because we have seen that such a scheme, whether of the center or the state, there have been instances where money has been pilfered or it has not reached the correct beneficiary. In the same breath, second decision, Mr. Iyer, we would like to discuss is about the Cabinet approving the revision in guidelines for providing the DTH or the direct-to-home services in India. Now, what Mr. Javadekar also briefed the press reporters after the Cabinet meeting was that he mentioned the figures that there are about 18 crore television sets in India, and out of which about 6 crore have DTH connection in their household. And he said that this decision is to ensure that there is a level playing field in this domain. Please take us through this.
Most important thing, as Mr. Javadekar ji mentioned today, DTH operation is a pan-India basis. And this sector is a highly employment-intensive sector. and it directly employs DTH operators as well as those in the call centers, who regularly monitor the subscription. And also at the field level, you have got people who come and install the dish in your home. So the amendment, the DTH guidelines have ensured that the license period, which was 10 years, has been now made for 20 years. And there is a clarity on renewals. But most important thing, Nilab, I feel is this, there is a cap of 49% FDI in the existing DTH guidelines. And government has been having a policy on FDI which has been amended from time to time. Now, today's cabinet decision in the change in the guidelines would allow for 100% FDI in the DTH sector. Because what has happened was, even the Commerce Ministry had allowed 100% in several things, but today's decision ensures that the guidelines of the INP Ministry have been changed. And so you can see that what was now till only 49% now will be 100%, which means more and more DTH companies can come with 100% foreign direct investment and into areas which are not currently covered by DTH, because the DTH concentration is mostly the major metropolitan centers and other big cities and two-tier cities. Now, the idea is more and more cities and urban areas, semi-urban areas should be covered under this, so that more employment is given under this. And also, what they are going to do is to see that satellite, because the DTH depends on the satellite. So you can see some consolidation will take place with some companies going for FDI and improving the infrastructure. And also to see that the cost on the customers is brought down, consumers. So that will be a very big thing I think this sector is going to see.
Right. That is one of the most important points when it boils down to actually customer getting the benefit of the service. And also, as the government information says that this is DTH sector being very employment intensive. So this will, as it includes a lot of multiple players, operators, and even the call center operators. So this is going to be too intensive and going to be giving a very level playing field. The other decision, Mr. Iyer, with regard to Delhi, this was about the cabinet approving an ordinance to protect some of the unauthorized colonies from punitive action. What is this about?
This ordinance is actually what we are seeing today is, all these unauthorized colonies, JJ clusters, Juggi Jhopdi clusters, and construction in Delhi rural areas, built on agricultural land. They will get protection. Basically, it's an ordinance that is going to extend protection for another 3 years. Because a similar law was passed in 2011, and when the 2011 law had expired, the government had in 2014 enacted the law again to give for extension. Since the law was reenacted in 2017, and now that means it is going to end now, in the December of 2020. Since there is no winter session, so an ordinance was necessary to extend the protection for another 3 years, that is till December of 2023. So this means that they will continue to get protection when their whole land holdings are regularized.
Another decision is about the cabinet approving the merger of 5 film media units. Now these media units, we have been knowing them for so long, and what Mr. Javadekar mentioned that this is to promote production of good films. India, no doubt, is one of the largest film producing countries across the globe, and this is also to galvanize the modern technology of filmmaking and ensuring that clean and good entertainment reaches the viewers. Please take us through this.
This government has realized, you would have seen in throughout the approach in these kind of matters is to bring about some kind of a rationalization and consolidation of resources to bring more synergy and avoid duplication. So with that philosophy in mind, today the cabinet has decided that the National Film Development Corporation, which is the main organization, will be made into an umbrella organization, and other media units will merge in that. So which are the units that are merging are the units which have not been able to show much productivity in the recent years because of the change of time. You see, what has happened is, for instance, Film Division. Now, Film Division was established in 1948 primarily to produce documentaries and news magazines for the government. We know in our childhood, before we went to watch any feature film, the first part would invariably be a Film Division documentary or a news capsule. Now, nobody goes to a theater to watch news these days. So, Film Division documentaries have not been... number of production of such documentaries have actually come down to nil because that kind of medium is no longer available. Rather, the Doordarshan and public broadcasters like All India Radio are producing so many documentaries. So the government feels the resources of the film division can be better utilized under an umbrella organization which will come up under NDFC. Similarly, you have got the Children's Film Society. Now, they have been producing some films, but what has happened is, today there are several private productions have come, producing children's films and educative films and all that. So the idea is that there is no need for such a separate setup. Similarly, you have had, for instance, the National Film Archives. This is another organization which has been functioning. So the whole idea is that the convergence of these film units, the Films Division, Directorate of Film Festivals. Now, film festivals has been busy every year because their activity is normally once in a year when they conduct the Goa Film Festival and followed by some regional film festival. So the government feels NFDC, which is also involved in film festivals, can itself take charge by, completely incorporating the Directorate of Film Festival. So the merger of these media units under one corporation is to ensure there is convergence of activities, resources, better coordination, and efficiency in, achieving the mandate, because this is the desire of the Prime Minister also, that whatever government resources are there, they are better utilized. There is synergy, there is no duplication. What has happened is today's cabinet has approved appointment of a transaction advisor and a legal advisor, which will take care of the transfer of assets and employees. And as has been clarified by Javdekarji also, that no employee is going to lose jobs or anything. And all the existing infrastructure and manpower will be brought together and there will be no duplication. And a lot of money will be saved. The savings to the exchequer is a very important reason for this decision.
All right. Borrowing from your words, when you say better utilization, is this also an aim to ensure that a similar kind of objective does not get an impediment because of working in silos, and in order to achieve a better enhanced result-oriented goal? I think that is also a kind of a message, that the aim that this decision has been taken, as we have seen in the past, Mr. Iyer, about merger of banks and some other government ministries and departments subsumed into one for one objective.
Exactly, because the world of cinema has undergone a tremendous change because of the advent of new technology. So the idea is there should be a balanced and focused development of Indian cinema, and the film should be produced in all genres, number one. Number two, today you have platforms like OTT, over the top. So how do you produce contents for this kind of platforms also? What about animation films, short films, documentaries? See, there is a lot of private private efforts which are sometimes financed by the NFDC and state film development corporations also. So in order to avoid duplication and to encourage more creative talent, the idea is that if there is an umbrella organization which can take into account and encourage more and more creative pursuits so that quality films are made and are available and are shown on a variety of a platform, not just for the cinema halls.
The last two decisions, Mr. Iyer, were about the Union Cabinet approving signing of revised air services agreement with two countries, the Philippines and Afghanistan. Now, what Mr. Javdekar also said, that India has about 70 years old bilateral relations with these two countries, and these decisions of signing the revised contract probably with these two countries is to have a new template. Please throw some light on these two decisions with specifically Afghanistan and Philippines.
Indeed, you are right, because say between India and Philippines, their agreement has been there for a long time. Similarly with Afghanistan. So one is, this agreement will take into account the new challenges in the civil aviation sector, and particularly the need to ensure greater safety and security. You will appreciate the fact that, when it comes to air services between India and Afghanistan, the security issue is a great consideration. So what we are going to see is this revised air services agreement will bring about greater trade, will open up opportunities for investment and tourism. Tourism is one area which can be to the benefit of both the countries. And above all, what the passenger today needs is seamless communication facilities and connectivity rather. So I think this is the purpose behind these two air services agreements.
Aviation is a booming industry. It's a growing industry every day. I think the measures are undertaken to forge and connect a better, stronger ties with different countries across the globe.
Definitely, because we already have such agreements with different countries. But these are countries, say, like Afghanistan, there is a scope for a lot of further improvement. The tourism potential, say, of Afghanistan. There is a lot of things that can be done between Afghanistan and India. Of course, India and Philippines, it's a very interesting area. There has been a growing passenger traffic between both the countries. And there is also further scope for creating the necessary hospitality infrastructure.
Mr. Iyer, thank you very much for sharing your views.
Thank you very much.
You were listening to a discussion on cabinet decisions. The participants were Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Nilap Srivastav, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. The program is also available on our website, newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.